Oh, what a beautiful morning indeed. This selection on the PPR centers around a growing rivalry between local farmers and cowboys and the backdrop of a U.S. territory's impending statehood. You just can't say no to the musical compositions of this Broadway show. And if you do, it's a scandal. It's an outrage.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow.
Dave, this was your selection of Rogers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma. Take it away, Dave.
Sure. Well, first of all, I picked Oklahoma because I believe we should respect history here on the pod. And Oklahoma, guys, I don't know if you know this, but it basically invented the Broadway cast album. There's a really cool New York Times article from a couple years back that explains how this was sort of a happy accident, I guess, because prior to that album, show music in recorded form was usually cut down and sliced up and performed by different singers and musicians than the ones on Broadway. But when they first recorded Oklahoma in 1943, it was right after an 8-month American Federation of Musicians strike that had basically crippled the recording industry, which I guess had resorted to putting out, like previously shelved recordings, lots of like on the fly a cappella material, stuff like that. So 3 weeks after the strike finally ended, the president of Decca Records wanted to get something out to market quickly. So he just booked the full Oklahoma cast, chorus, and orchestra, complete with the show's conductor. And just like the show itself on Broadway, it was a huge hit. And it led to the cast album as we know it being a staple for like big Broadway shows, thereafter. So I believe we should respect history. Another thing I happen to believe is that we should only respect history so much, which is why I specifically nominated today the cast recording from the 2019 Tony Award-winning revival of Oklahoma. And I like this recording because it takes the classic music here and scores it with just 7 instruments. The songs are given kind of bluegrass arrangements that, despite being pretty stripped down, still somehow sound really full and rich. But in this form, you can kind of hear the melodies and the emotions of these old songs with fresh ears. So the melodies and the emotions here, they're impressive. And there's a reason why Oklahoma, just won't stop being revived. So let's start with the opener and the closer. You got to have a strong opener and closer to be a truly great album, Broadway or otherwise. And most music fans can probably name some of their favorite album bookends without hesitation. So if you ask me, I might immediately think of Pet Sounds, where the Beach Boys opened with Wouldn't It Be Nice and closed with Caroline No.
Hey, you like the Beach Boys?
I do. And Paul, I believe you like Prince. So maybe your mind goes to Purple Rain, where Prince had Let's Go Crazy in the title track. And I don't know if you're still mourning the loss of the great Charlie Watts, who recently passed. You might think of Let It Bleed, where the Stones had Gimme Shelter and You Can't Always Get What You Want. What an epic set of tracks there. But next time, guys and listeners, that someone brings up the topic of great album openers and closers, I want Oklahoma to pop into your head because we kick off the show and the album with the song you heard up top after Scott's intro, the song that I have been known for years to belt out on Saturday and Sunday mornings when my wife, not a morning person, first wakes up, usually a few hours after me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. And just a soaring, gorgeous, iconic song. And we close with the title song, Oklahoma, a song that, especially in this banjo drenched rendition, I think is as fun to sing, clap, and stomp your feet to as any other piece of music you can name. And in between those unassailable bookends, you have a collection of songs evoking such a cocktail of, love and heartache, sense of community and sense of loneliness, light humor, and deep darkness, that in preparing for this pod, I was thinking maybe we should just start calling Oklahoma The OK, kind of a nod to its thematic kinship with TV shows like The OC. And yes, that's some shameless pandering to you, Kev and Paul. But I'll just highlight 2 of those songs since I can't monopolize this whole episode gushing over Oklahoma. You have I Can't Say No. Can't, of course, spelled with an I to mimic the incredibly fun and exaggerated frontier accents affected throughout this and most renditions of Oklahoma. And in I Can't Say No, Allie Stroker, who plays Ado Annie, reflects on her difficulty turning down suitors. And in doing so, not only does she show off Broadway caliber pipes to rival like an Idina Menzel, there's a reason Lin-Manuel Miranda tweeted he couldn't wait for this cast recording to come out so he could blast this track at top volume. Not only does she demonstrate the comedic storytelling of like a Miranda Lambert, she's hilarious enough here that when she performed the song at the Tony Awards, you could see Bryan Cranston, Walter White himself, chuckle and smile with delight in the audience when she delivered the line, "I know I mustn't fall into the pit, but when I'm with a feller, I forget." That "forget" is another great little accent line. But she also delivers the song with such authentic passion that you hear with new ears, like I said earlier, that what the song has always been, which is like a really clever exploration of a woman trying to like reconcile her desires and society's expectations. There's a lot to unpack in that song. And the second song I'll even more briefly highlight is Poor Judd is Dead, with even more creative spelling here. Poor is Pore and dead is Daid. Dade. I don't know. I can't even say it without my face like hurting the way they pronounce it in the play. But it's a song that I would say is as low-key challenging to our sense of right and wrong, to our sense of heroes and villains as like Breaking Bad I mentioned a moment ago, or The Sopranos, or like any of those contemporary prestige dramas. This is a song where Curly, the play's apparent protagonist, he essentially tries to convince his romantic competitor, Judd, to kill himself. And it's all wrapped in this like soft, sweet duet of a ballad, but with like strange, darkly comedic lyrics, like when Curly, in describing Judd at his would-be funeral, croons, "He's all laid out to rest with his hands across his chest. His fingernails have never been so clean." And then Judd achingly echoes, "So clean." And that oddball fingernails line is as good a place to end this as any. A reviewer for The New Yorker wrote that this rendition of Oklahoma was, quote, like discovering a shot of absinthe in a blueberry pie. And I love that line. You can hear this classic music with fresh ears, oddball fingernail jokes and all. You can hear its rawness and its complexity, but you know what? It still tastes like blueberry pie. It's Oklahoma. It's a delight. But what do you guys think?
I don't know what to think.
Yeah, that was
that was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what that was.